All right, I'm live. I don't know what happened. I'll wait for you guys to come back. That was so weird. I'll eat my dinner while I wait for you guys. Oh, hush. That was one of the strangest things that ever happened. Hey. I don't know what happened. It was so weird. They took 4,000 cash and phones are off. I don't know why you guys couldn't see StreamYards. Why? I was wondering how come nobody could see it on my regular phone. I mean, on my computer. All right, let me try this again. I think I know what happened. I just didn't know how to get back to it. Yeah, we're back. I think I gave them the wrong link, which is why they were coming into StreamYards, but you guys couldn't see it. It was fucking strange. 100% another day in the candle making world. The struggle is real. I'm telling you, it is real. The struggle is real. It was showing it ended like an hour and something minutes ago. I'm like, I wasn't even live for an hour and a half.
What happened?
Let's see if you show up now.
There
you are. Okay.
I can see comments.
Yay! All right, whistle down. Come back.
Bring Whistle Hubby back up.
You're in the right place now. Everyone could see you. I don't know what I did, but I didn't know how to fix it without starting over.
I like Whistle Hubby. Hi, Pam.
Yeah, now you guys can see everything. It was so weird. Whistle Down After Dark. I like that name.
Couldn't see me.
Poor voice and Todd. I know. Bring him back. Bring him back.
Todd, come back. Come back.
Danny, I thought I entered the Twilight Zone for a minute. I really did. I'm like,
I know. I'm really close. Do I need to move back from it? It's kind of weird.
I do that too when I'm on camera. I'm always so close. I'm like, I need to change my camera, but I can't.
I don't know how to change it on this one. Oh, wait. Maybe I do.
What's up, Whistle Hubby?
Not much. What's going on?
Not much. All right. You're listening and you're mad? Lindsay, you want a link? There you go, Lindsay.
Come up, Lindsay. Why, how much did they get to hear of us?
They heard it all, but they couldn't see it. And phone live stream, tablet 2, new video. Yes, new video. So I'm just going to list for what? No, I need people from the other side.
I promise I won't argue or yell at anybody.
Hey, Christy.
Is my mic working this time?
Yeah, but you got to lower your YouTube.
I won't argue or yell at anybody.
Hey, Christy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but your YouTube is echoing. Yeah, but you got to lower your YouTube. I won't argue or yell at anybody.
Okay, let me turn it off. Can you hear me?
There you go.
Does that fix it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. I could not figure that out.
Herb Squad, I'm glad it came up in recommendations. Maybe I'm back in the algorithm. What's up, Christy?
Nothing much. I know you was talking about gun control, and that's something I'm very passionate about. Very, very passionate about. I have 2 children, 15 and 16, who can shoot a gun just as good as me and their dad. They have access to guns in our home. But I guess it's just all on how we raise them. They know what to do when we're not
Exactly.
home. How to, they aren't safe. Don't get me wrong. They're not just laying out, when we leave the house. But the safe is in a part of the home where they know that if someone was to break in the home, leave our pit bull out. You go up the stairs, you lock the doors. You go into our bedroom, you lock the door. You grab the gun out of the safe and you go to the bathroom and you lock the door. And you sit there and you wait. And if somebody comes through that bathroom, you shoot them.
Okay, let me ask you a question, because I've had this argument with many, many people before. If someone breaks into your house, odds of you having the time to do all that are slim to none.
Well, they do stay upstairs, though. They stay upstairs.
But I'm saying that in theory, that's correct.
Yeah.
But if a 15-year-old is home alone or with somebody and someone breaks in their house, the initial reaction is to panic, even if there's no gun control. So for them to get upstairs, open the safe, to me, keep a gun accessible. So if you do panic, you just grab the fucking gun and you shoot whoever.
I mean, honestly, if it was up to my husband, they would just stay out. I'm just not quite to that point yet, because it took me many years to get on board with. So, like, my husband and I, we've been together for 20 years. Okay. And I now open carry. I've been open carrying for 5 years. So everywhere I go, I have my gun. It's on my side. Everyone can see it. I get questions like crazy. What are you carrying? Any question in the book I've gotten. So up until then, I made him keep a lock on his gun. And it was a huge, huge problem in our house. What are we going to do when someone breaks in? And it just took me many years to get on board. But if it was up to him, they would probably have guns in their bedroom. I'm not even going to lie there. I'm just not to that point yet. I prefer them being the safe. I do trust them. They're homeschooled. And so that makes a little bit of a difference too, I think, because they're not getting a lot of what's going on, within like social media world and stuff like that.
That makes 100% difference, because they don't have the everyday peer pressures forced upon them. And you have more control and the ability to regulate what goes on, because your kids aren't out underneath your eyes for 8 hours a day.
Yes.
That's a different situation and circumstance. We're talking about a city kid whose parents left guns accessible to him while he was being harassed, and he felt no other option but to take that gun to school and annihilate them.
Well, they didn't leave it as accessibility. They bought the kid.
Agreed.
They pretty much came out and said through social media posts. I mean, it's social media, so take it for what it's worth. But when the kid posts a picture that he got his new present, and his parents say, "Oh, we're taking him out with his new present," you bought that gun for that kid.
Well, didn't they send a text? Didn't they send him a text and tell him not to do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
I mean,
they knew.
So my sister, she's dating a guy right now, and he has a son the same age as my daughter. He's 15. He does go to a school in the city, kind of rough area. He didn't grow up he had a rough childhood. His dad has custody of him now, but he is on some medication and stuff for his mental health. And me and my sister have talked, and she has said things to me about how, like, they can't have any type of weapon in the house because there's no telling what he would do. And so that's where I feel like it falls back on the parents. Like, if you know you have a child that could do something like this, put the guns away.
But what makes you think they knew that he could do something like this?
I don't think any parent knows that their child is capable of doing something like that.
I totally agree with that.
I don't think I could look at a kid and go, "School shooter."
Yep. Doesn't matter. You own guns. That's your responsibility. Does not matter.
So here's the thing. Where I grew up in a very rural state, and I graduated high school in the mid-90s, and if you would have went to my parking lot of my high school when I was a sophomore, junior, senior in high school, our high school parking lot would be considered a well-armed militia. It was hunting season. And I'm from Alaska, so when you went to our school, most kids that were driving, in the back of their pickup, they had a high power rifle for taking down moose, a shotgun for duck hunting, and they usually carried a pistol. All three of those, if not more, were in the back seat of a teenager's pickup. And we never, the thought of a school shooting was nothing. So I think a lot of it comes to today's society of both parents working, divorce on the rise. So you have a lot of single parent households. You have a lot of kids left unattended to get on the internet, do things that, they get made fun of. And I'm not saying that's an excuse. No kid should be bullied, but it happens. When I was a kid in the early 90s, if you got bullied, you went out by the gravel pit and you had yourself a good old-fashioned throwdown with your hands.
I was just gonna say you beat the shit out of the person.
Yeah, I mean, we had epic fights in gravel pits. We didn't go around shooting each other.
Exactly.
And because that's just not something you did, and a lot of it is how kids are raised. If you, idle minds, so you throw kids in front of a computer, and you're almost, because both parents are working, kids are raising themselves. So parents aren't involved, and I'm not saying everybody, so don't take that, but a lot of kids have parents that aren't involved in their lives. And that's no excuse. If you're going to buy a firearm and you're going to have a firearm in your house, my daughter is not a gun fan, but yet she knows every firearm in this house and knows how to operate them, knows what they're for, knows the difference between what comes out of the end of a 12 gauge and what comes out of the end of a pistol. It's education.
And I agree with that. Education is key. However, I keep hearing this argument and I haven't gotten an answer yet. A rifle in the state of Michigan, you can get at age 12.
No.
Yes.
You can possess one. So
Right.
There's the difference.
Possess
Can you
one.
purchase one? No, you cannot
No.
purchase a firearm unless you're over the age of 18. That is
Okay.
a long gun, which would be a shotgun or a rifle. If you're
Okay.
going to buy a pistol, you have to be over
21.
the age of 21. Now, if I lived in the state of
Hold
Michigan,
on. My point is, though, whether it's a rifle or a 9mm, both can kill somebody. So what the hell is the difference?
So the difference is that if I buy the gun is still in my name. If I went, let's pretend for a minute that my daughter's 11 years old and she's going to go deer hunting. I can give her my deer rifle to use. It is not her firearm. I can say it's hers and she'll get it when she turns 18 or 16. There's some states where you can own one. We can go back to the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and do all that. You can legally possess that firearm. However, it's technically not the child's. It's not yours until you turn 18. It's not yours. In some states, it's 17. There's a lot of gray area. I mean, you go state to state. So if I put my daughter in a tree stand with a 243, which is a deer hunting rifle, and she's by herself, that's legal. She can possess that firearm because I'm within eyesight.
Yes,
and it's being used for hunting purposes.
Yeah. Now, can she walk down the street? Like, I could take my 12 gauge shotgun and walk down the street right now, and I'm legally possessing that firearm. If my daughter takes that same 12 gauge shotgun and walks down the street, she's illegally possessing a firearm.
Okay. And now your butt's on the line because that's your firearm.
Yeah, so I either gave her the firearm to walk down the street with, or I gave it to where a minor child had access to firearms in my home, which makes it illegal.
Okay. But if you're gonna forget legality for a minute, just based on common sense, all right? Forget the law. A rifle, a sawed-off shotgun, or a 9mm all can kill.
Yes.
They
And
all
of the things you
possess,
just stated, one of them is illegal to possess, no matter how old you are.
but
Correct.
they all possess the same thing, and that's it takes a trigger to pull, and they all follow the same rules about safety and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is that to say that a child can possess one and not the other, there's no difference. Both can kill.
No, they can't legally possess
I
either.
didn't say legally.
Yeah. So
100%.
here's the thing that you're missing. So if I take my child out hunting, they can possess the firearm because we're in the act of hunting. We're actively hunting. And usually if you take a youth, which in most, once again, most, so we'll kind of group everything in the percentile here. So if I take my daughter hunting and I put her in a tree stand and I can still see her, so she's within eyesight of me, that's legal. Now, as soon as that child takes that gun and I'm out of eyesight or she's out of eyesight from me, that's when it becomes illegal for the child. Whether you're in the woods, in the street, in a school parking lot, at Walmart, wherever you are, if I cannot see the child, now that's where it becomes illegal.
Do you think the parents should be held accountable?
By all means. Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Christy, what about you?
Yes, absolutely.
Voices, what about you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the only one on panel that thinks the parents shouldn't be held accountable.
Why? Let's take gun out of it.
Here's where the parents become liable.
They were irresponsible.
Let's put
Here's
car
where the parents
into
become
it, Laura.
liable. I can go buy a firearm and put it in my gun safe, right? And that's my gun. The minute they post it on social media, I can't remember the kid's name, whatever it was. So like,
XYZ.
Laura, let's pretend you're my daughter. And I say, oh, just bought Laura a pistol. Just bought Laura her new present. You're 15 years old. And I'm posting on social media that I just bought you a pistol. It is illegal for somebody under the age of 21 to own a pistol.
Okay, but
I just admitted to buying you a firearm illegally.
But they would have no way to know that their kid was going to do that.
No, but the dad who bought the firearm on November 26th, he broke the law. So when you go buy a firearm, you fill out your federal background check, right? And on the questionnaire, it says, are you purchasing this firearm for yourself? The minute the dad checked yes and handed that pistol over to the kid, he just committed a federal crime. That alone is a federal crime.
But did he hand it to his kid?
But for me, the way I look at it, though, even if they did none of that, even say they did not buy it for him, whatever, they were irresponsible because he had access to it.
Yes.
So to me, that makes them responsible because as a parent, you should put the guns up. So like, yes, when I leave my home, my children know how to get access to that gun. If they were to leave this home and do something stupid, I'm responsible. I'm taking full responsibility. That's my fault.
Joseph.
I knew better.
Thank you, Joseph.
So Laura, if you took gun out of it and put car in for gun, so say your son XYZ takes your car one night, driving down the road, kills somebody. Are you responsible or is he? You're
Wait,
both
repeat that one more time.
Okay. Kid takes your car, driving down the road, gets into an accident, kills somebody. Are you responsible?
No.
Is he responsible? You're both responsible. It's your car. He's a minor.
He didn't have a driver's license.
Exactly.
What if he stole the car?
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
To use that analogy, you would have to say that the child got your car without having a driver's license.
If he's 15,
so,
maybe they live in a state where you can't drive at 15.
Yeah. So if you post on social media or you admit to rolling your kid a joint, did your kid get drugs or did you give your kids drugs?
That's a better one.
That's
Todd,
the
thank
great.
you.
That's the gray area you're floating in, because so now if I leave if I leave a bag of marijuana on my counter, did I give my kid marijuana or did he find the marijuana?
He found the
So
marijuana.
if you have an unopened gun case, did I give my kid the gun or did they find the gun?
They found the gun.
That's the gray area the prosecution is going to come into, what the defense is going to come into. So what the prosecution says is, in this case, so we'll talk about this case. The kid posted that my parents just got me this gun, or look at my new toy, or whatever he posted. Okay, that can be anything, because I can go take a picture next to a Lamborghini and say, check out my new whip. I don't own that car. So it doesn't matter. But when the mom goes on and says, time to take Timmy out to play with his new gun we got him, you just admitted that you illegally bought that kid a firearm. That holds up in court. You just said that. Kids will say, check out my new Ferrari, look at my new gun. My kid could take a picture of one of my guns and be like, check out my new gun. That's not hers. That's hearsay. But if I went and said, oh, look at the new gun I just bought my 15-year-old daughter, guess what? I just admitted to doing something illegal.
Okay, but what was his, and I don't know if anyone knows this answer, but what was his presence on social media? Was he trying to just was the mom just trying to be cool? Was she trying to act like she's a cool mom and didn't really mean what she was saying?
I hope she wasn't trying to be a cool mom.
What?
What?
I hope she wasn't trying to be a cool mom.
No, but I'm saying, like, is that how she was trying to come across? Like, yeah, I just bought my son a gun. I'm the cool mom. Gun.
If that's how she's coming across, you just admitted to doing something very bad in the honor of being cool.
That's crazy.
But I'm saying, as a gun supporter, you see it differently. As a non-gun supporter, maybe she was just trying to look cool. Maybe she was just, trying to be that cool mom. And they look like kids. But my point.
Go ahead.
But my point is that diehard gun control people. Diehard gun believers see it totally differently. They see it as, this is irresponsible. That's not how you handle guns. And she admitted to doing something illegally. On the flip side of that, people that aren't diehard gun people don't understand that. And I really believe that.
Okay, so what if she put that picture on social media because she knew her child was being bullied, and that's why they went out and bought him the gun?
Was he being bullied? I haven't gotten confirmation yet.
Whether he was being bullied or not still doesn't make it right. So we talked about that a little bit when your last live ended. You don't know. Maybe the kid was bullied, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's an excuse to shoot up a school, or even go that far. If the kid feels threatened and he's claiming that he needed some sort of self-defense, like if my kid came to me and said, man, I'm getting bullied at school, I think I need a gun, I'd be like, hold on. You don't need a gun to protect yourself at school. Like, maybe we'll go take a karate class or, get some Taibo videos up in the house, but we don't need a gun. That's where the responsibility of the parent comes in. And if you're going to teach your kid to use a gun and you think he's being bullied at school, my kid's not getting any acts. If my kid's getting bullied at school and wants to learn how to use a firearm, I might show my kid how to use a firearm, but they're under lock and key. My kid's not going to get anywhere near that firearm. That's the viewpoint of the responsible gun owner, in my opinion.
Okay, now as a responsible gun owner, and this goes for any of you on panel, what if your kid's life was threatened and the bully said, and I'm just making this up. Stop. And the bully said, you're a bully. And the bully said, we're going to take your life. We're going to hunt you down. We're going to shoot you like a deer. Would you then buy your kid a gun to protect himself?
No.
Okay.
Take it to the authorities.
Okay. And like I said, I'm just giving a classic example of why somebody would have a gun and why a parent might buy their kid a gun.
If my kid's being bullied that far, they're not going to school the next day until the bully, is taken care of, to where I feel safe sending my kid back to school, to where either there's been an intervention on the bully side, or the authorities would know that my child is under that much duress.
Thank you, Pretty, so much. Good discussion on pro firearms. Please, nobody not like me. No, that everyone here is pro firearms for the most part. His mom, I know his mom texted and told him not to do it. I think that makes her guilty. But we don't know what text went before that. We don't know if the text before that was him saying, I want to blow the school up, or I want to do something to hurt the school, or I want to get back on my bullies. Like, we don't know what was said.
The kid could have texted anything. I'm leaving school. No, don't do that. I'm going out in the parking lot. No, don't do that. Like, you're right. We don't know the text. I doubt that he sent a message saying, I'm going to shoot everyone in here. I'm doubting that happened.
He might.
I can't say if it's 100% sure, but my daughter showed me some stuff yesterday where I guess maybe on Snapchat or TikTok, where some friends within the school had posted some things like he made on his promise, as if like he had told them he was going to do this already. I don't know how true that is. She just showed me where some kids had posted that he had already threatened this before, like he was going to do this. And so they posted on social media, he made on his promise.
Maybe I give people too much credit, but I can't for the life of me understand a parent. Sure, go ahead and kill everyone at school. I can't imagine a parent allowing their kid to do that. And again, maybe I give people too much credit, but I don't see that ever happening.
So what happened? Remember after 9/11? So that'll age me. But remember after 9/11, it was see something, say something, right? That was the big thing. Yep. See something, say something. So if you're a kid in school and you think little Timmy over there is getting bullied, number one, maybe make a friend with him so that he has one. Number two, if somebody knows that he was talking about this, looks like he came through on his promises, something should have been said before.
I agree.
And are we at a point in our society where everybody doesn't want to get in everybody else's business? Or I don't want to be the kid that ratted out Timmy because now maybe I look like a fool. But why is it so bad? If you think, if a kid legitimately thinks that another kid is being bullied enough to where he's talking about causing harm, and not just like, I'm going to kick that kid's ass by the monkey bars, it's turned into, I'm going to do some real damage. I'm going to kill these people. These people piss me off. I'm going to kill somebody. And granted, kids say that, and maybe they don't really mean they're going to kill somebody, but they don't have the words to say anything but that. But why is it so bad now? Why is it frowned upon for another kid to go to somebody at the school and say, hey, man, little Johnny over there has been talking a little crazy, like he's going to come in here because he's labeled something.
Maybe they did.
And they should have. And I think that's the point that's being missed, is that nobody wants to be a rat, but in some cases, like saying something to stop something that was horrific as this shouldn't be frowned upon. It should be applauded.
Hey, Lindsay brings up a good point. I said, playing devil's advocate, what if the parents knew the son was struggling with emotional issues and still bought a gun? Do you think the parents are still off the hook? No, I don't.
No.
If they knew that he was having emotional issues, mental issues, or anything of the sort, then yes, they should be charged. But as of right now, what we know so far, we don't know any of that yet.
Well, that's a great segue to this point. I am a firearm owner. I also struggle with mental illness. I know that in my dark times, the first thing that must happen are all gun locks go on. They may already be in the gun safe, but I know in a dark time, all my gun locks go on, or all my firearms leave my possession.
Okay. But you're old enough to make that distinction.
I'm old enough to make that distinction, but as a parent to a child that may have mental instabilities, that should be your responsibility as well.
Okay.
As a parent, if you have any thought that your child may
Yes.
have mental instabilities, they shouldn't have open access to a firearm.
Never.
And I
Nobody
and
should.
that can go back to not even like the story you just said. So remember that a veteran
Yes.
struggling with PTSD killed Chris Kyle.
Yes.
They gave him access to a firearm
Yes.
to go, and like sometimes that is, I've watched a lot of
Therapeutic.
shows with veterans to where going out and doing something like Chris Kyle offered them was a source of relief. It was a source of like de-stressing, just going out shooting targets, having fun, hanging with the boys. But one person not in the right mindset. So you can say maybe you shouldn't let kids have access, but on the same hand, adults shouldn't have access.
I feel the same way. I feel, oh gosh, please don't come for me on this one, because this is my own personal belief. And no, I'm more meaning the chat, because what I'm about to say is probably going to ruffle a lot of feathers. I firmly believe that if you have a mental health diagnosis, you should not be allowed to have firearms in your possession.
agree.
100% agree.
Yes.
Period. The end.
Absolutely.
Period. The end.
Yep. 100%.
Think about it. Most criminals have some kind of mental illness, and they all have firearms, and a lot of people end up dead. I totally agree with you.
And that's exactly it, ZZ Hound. All of my guns have locks on them. All of my guns are in a gun safe. And if there's not a need for them, they're not in my possession. They're just not. I'm not going to take that chance where that's going to be my one wrong day where I'm going to hurt somebody or potentially hurt myself, causing more damage. So no, I don't believe it. I firmly believe if you have a mental health diagnosis, like you can, you should be able to adopt a soldier or adopt a person that wants to go hunting and those things.
But we don't know if he has mental illness, right? We don't know as
We
far
don't.
as what we know yet.
And we won't, because he's a minor.
Yeah.
That's true. He's being charged as an adult though? We don't know yet.
I don't know.
think we know
Most
yet.
likely he'll be charged as an adult, but I don't know if his records would be released because he is still a minor.
See, because I was thinking about that. He has a couple things going against him. He's 15, so that's a child, but 4 kids dead is capital murder. But a child cannot be charged. Hey, Avery, but a child cannot be charged with the death sentence or a capital murder, I don't think.
He is being charged as an adult.
Oh, he is being charged as an adult. Okay. But it's not a capital charge, or it is? Does Michigan even have the death penalty? Not that he can be charged, because he can't, because he's a minor, a child, but...
So this wraps back into the school shooting in Texas not that long ago, to where that kid shot, was it 3-4 people? Can't remember the exact number, but he wasn't even charged. He was let out on bond. So this kid in Michigan, because of the law, will be held charged as an adult and probably never see outside again. But in a different state, it's treated completely differently.
Okay. See, what I think is, now playing the flip side, because remember I told you guys I could do both sides. Playing the flip side, I think it's really fucked up that, I wasn't going to curse. I think it's really wacky that the parent, your son gets charged with quadruple homicide. He's being charged as an adult. He needs his parents more than ever, and they go on the run. That's crazy.
Because that just tells me they're guilty of something.
Right.
That's just crazy, though.
Well, their lawyer come out and said they're not on the run. Did you see
I
that?
know, they're on vacation. Your son gets, hit with a quadruple homicide, but you're on vacation. Okay.
But they're on vacation, but he was still able to check the gun safe and realize that a gun was missing.
Oh yeah, they
They're
didn't
not
go on vacation until the son was arrested. Then they went on vacation. Sure, you
they're
did.
not on vacation.
I know they're not.
When I first heard they couldn't find the parents, the first thing I thought is that maybe he had turned the gun on the parents as well.
That was
You
my
think
thought
what?
too.
I thought when they said that they couldn't find the parents, I thought it was, I'm going to kill my parents and then I'm going to go to the school. And this was before I'd watched any press conferences. But when I heard the parents were on the run, quote unquote, on the run, or they were looking for the parents, I thought he shot his parents and then went to school and shot up the school. I found out later I was wrong because the parents were at the school hours before the shooting.
Yes.
There's a 10K bounty for him.
Which is another thing to discuss is, I'm looking at this from a parent perspective, not from a killer perspective, not from anything else other than a parent perspective. You work, your husband works. Your kid is probably not best off at home alone. So you're thinking if he stays in school, he's much better off. So you convince the school to keep him at school because you think he's better off at school than he is at home because you don't know what he's going to do at home alone. I think her thinking was correct in trying to keep him at school where they thought he was safe. So a lot of people are coming down on the parents saying, she fucked up and, she's guilty because she forced him to stay at school. But on the other side, I really believe that she only told him stay at school and try to get him stay at school because she thought he was better off at school than home alone.
Part of me would agree with you. The big part of that is how does the school take a kid who, so the kid was just basically dragged out of class. Yep. Okay, we saw some bad drawings on your paperwork and now we're going to talk about it. Okay, your parents think you're better off at school. Let's just send them back to class. Is the school liable in a way for just letting him walk back into the classroom when there's a school resource officer there? How about he goes and just spends some time with the school resource officer away from class, away from kids? Ha ha, look at Timmy. Like, there's a chance for somebody to say something that, did a kid, I'm going to assume, and I know I shouldn't assume, but I'm going to assume that in a way this kid was bullied. Okay? So now you're going to send him back basically into the lion's den of mid-teenage kids. Did somebody say something in that classroom? Oh, so your parents left you to hang out to dry again, or whatever kids say these days, that set him off to where maybe if the kid had a cool down period to where he was put in a room by himself with the resource officer to just talk, or a counselor or somebody to talk about things of like, hey man, what were those drawings about or whatever? Instead of talking about it, they just send them back in a classroom. Number one, with a backpack that nobody's looked at. Is the school liable a little bit from not separating the kid from what could be the chaos?
Well, aren't they a mandatory reporter? And doesn't that come down to protecting the other kids from him? And isn't that the whole point of why you have a school counselor and a principal? Because back in our day, you would have sat with the school counselor, the principal, and probably the wrestling coach or the basketball coach, and you would have been talking about it.
So hopefully nobody's had to deal with this, but if your kid goes to school and has marks on his arms or her arms, a black eye, or it looks like maybe they've been mistreated at home, and what happens if a teacher notices that? Law enforcement's notified, parents are brought in, maybe the kid's looked at, taken to a separate room, talked to. Oh, turns out Uncle Larry's sleeping on the couch, and every once in a while something bad happens. Like, they're a first stop. They have the ability to call law enforcement when it comes to abuse.
Mandatory reporting.
Is there not mandatory reporting because you think this kid may be a risk?
But define a risk. All right. again, as a parent, I have 3 great kids. One of them is an avid video game player, avid shooter. First, what's it called?
First shooter.
Yeah, first. There's 3 words, but I forgot what it is. And I, just as a mom, if God forbid there was a shooting at their school, my very first reaction would be, "Holy fuck! I hope it's not one of my kids." And I'm being honest about that. Not that I would ever think my kids would do something like that, but as a parent, that's just my first reaction. First player shooter, thank you. Am I alone in this? Nobody else thinks like that?
No.
You're like, no.
No, you are not alone in thinking like that, Laura.
Okay. Because as a parent, that's my first reaction. My second reaction would be, oh my God, I hope none of them are hurt, obviously. But I think I would have those both hand in hand, that both reactions would be at the exact same time.
I think every parent at that point would run through their mental Rolodex of how was my child acting this week? I think things like that. I mean, again, I'm not a parent, but I mean, in my world, when I hear of those, Columbine was the first one, this thing in Washington being the last one that I've experienced in my adult life, automatically that's one of my first thoughts is I wonder what behaviors were going on in those homes, in those children's lives, that they felt the need to take a firearm and go to school and cause havoc.
Now, also, I'm not talking about young kids. I'm talking high school age, because, all right, Perplex, you're a good mom. From what I've looked into, this mom was not, and she knew. You can't apply your logic to hers in this case. Okay. Because I know when my kids were in elementary school, there was a shooter in the area and they put the school on lockdown. And I mean, we all ran up to the school in tears, like we want to see our kid, but cops were all around, and thank God it wasn't at the school. But I mean, your heart goes in your throat. And we camped outside for hours in the cold, just waiting for our kids to come out, like you just know. And thank God everything was fine. And it was just a shooter in the area. It had nothing to do with the school, but they kept the school on lockdown because of it. This was 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But now as kids in 11th grade and 8th grade, if God forbid there was a school shooting, my first 2 thoughts are, oh my God, I hope it's not one of them. And my second thought would be, God, I hope they're okay. So, or in reverse order. I don't know if hopefully I'll never have that situation, but
Damn, this is really good. Your chat is amazing.
I know. I've been sitting here reading them.
Reading Spidey's comments. I want to say, Spidey, you really,
I have a great chat. I do.
He was using the school's internet to view the ammunition for a gun. I would hope that the school would contact me as a parent if they saw this. Why are they allowed? Why does that firewall allow them to view those items?
Right.
As a parent, if the school contacted me and told me that my child was researching gun ammunition, I would take him or her home immediately for safety in the school. I agree with that. But maybe they didn't know that he had the gun on him, did they? Or did he not have the gun? I'm confused. Well, he had to have the gun on him, right?
They knew he had the gun, didn't they? Didn't the parents know?
I don't think so.
They didn't call to report it missing or something?
Well, they had already been to the school that morning talking about the drawings, or had been called that morning about his drawings.
I don't know if anyone ever heard of the shooting at Aztec. It sounds familiar, pretty. Aztec High School in New Mexico. I remember hearing some about New Mexico. Let me ask, is there anybody in chat that's totally against what the people on panel are saying? I think everybody's pretty much on the same wavelength, but I would love if somebody was anti-guns completely. Parents called 911 before they identified the shooter and said their gun was missing and believed it was their son as the shooter.
That's a red flag
Yeah.
for me if I'm law
That's
enforcement.
what I'd read.
That's a big red flag.
If I'm law enforcement, that's a huge red flag for me.
Why
You knew something. So a shooting at the school, you go home, gun missing, and you automatically think it's your kid that may have been the school shooter. That's a red flag for me. If I'm law enforcement, parents knew something, in my opinion.
There had to have been so much more going on in this child's life for them to have just automatically just assumed there was so much more.
Like, if there's a school shooting at my kid's school, I come home and a gun is missing. I know my kid well enough that I'm not jumping to that conclusion. I'm not calling the police and saying, I think it was my kid. Yep. Yeah. I got a bad feeling. Like, if you have that bad of a feeling, then your kid shouldn't have been anywhere near being able to have access to the firearms.
And that right there makes you culpable.
Yes.
Agree.
In my opinion. But yeah, if a shooting happens at my kid's school tomorrow and there's a gun missing, I'm not thinking that my kid did it. Now, if my kid is troubled, there would be no way that they would have access to that firearm.
The 911 call from the father hasn't been released, right?
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I just looked for it and I'm not seeing anything. I was wondering if voices, you probably look better than I do.
Let me see.
All I got is father called 911.
Charges filed.
It said 15-year-old went out with his father, James Crumley, to purchase 9mm Sig Sauer. Did I say that wrong?
Nope.
No, you're right.
Sig Sauer handgun. It is sour? Woohoo!
Yeah.
Handgun from a shop on November 26th, 4 days before the shooting. 3 days later, a teacher did see him look up ammunition in class. School officials left a voicemail for his mom about the incident. See, but that's the other thing. And I've heard this, that
I bet it's going to be released.
One of the reasons they're charging, or the prosecutor said that they were charging the parents, is the teacher called, say he was looking up ammunition in class. The mom said, well, I'm not mad at you, but why you shouldn't get caught. I don't see that as so big of a deal because, okay, the kid was bored in class. He just got a gun. He's looking up ammunition. I still don't put that as, okay, he was going to blow up the school.
I would agree with you on that.
And a lot of people are saying that because the mom said that, like, as a gun owner, you kids have guns, Christy and Todd. I mean, you might, if dad's planning on taking you hunting that weekend and you're looking up ammunition, that's not going to cause a mom to be like, oh, you're going to blow up a school.
You don't use a 9mm to go hunting.
No, you don't.
Okay, but he said they were going to go to target practice. Any reason he could be looking up ammunition?
Did they report it though? Did they call the parents and say that he's looking up ammunition? I mean,
yes.
They did.
So he's a 15-year-old kid looking up ammunition because his dad bought a new firearm.
Yes.
I don't think kids can buy ammunition.
Yeah, so he's looking up something that he cannot buy himself. And let's just pretend that we don't know everything that we know. Like, mom didn't admit to basically buying the gun for the kid, but so the thing with kids is they get bored pretty easily, and especially at school. So dad comes home after Thanksgiving dinner, plops down a new handgun. Let's just pretend dad bought a new rifle. Let's take handgun out of the equation. Bought a new 270 rifle to go deer hunting with. And says, hey, you're going on your first deer hunting trip. You get to go with me and Uncle Tommy. Here's your deer hunting rifle we bought. Kid gets bored at school and starts looking up ammunition for a 270 deer rifle. Are we having the same discussion? Probably not, because you're going to take a 15-year-old boy who has a new firearm in the house and dad's going to take him hunting. Kid's excited and he's bored at school.
Yep.
First time he gets to go hunting, gets all excited. You put handgun in the equation. Why is this 15-year-old kid looking up handgun ammunition? Because it has nothing to do with going hunting. Now we're looking at a different kind of firearm. So, okay, maybe that throws up a couple red flags, but I will go back to the fact that 15-year-old boys get bored, especially at school.
I agree.
And I'm not going to fault a kid for looking up. Maybe you could make the argument, why is the kid looking up 9mm ammo? Because maybe he's never heard of a 9mm, doesn't know what it is, wants to know, what the hell did my dad actually buy? There's an argument there of, can a kid look up 9mm ammo and not be considered a school shooter? Can a kid look up 270 ammo, 308 ammo, whatever it is,
But
and
in this day and
not
age,
be considered a criminal?
Why is he doing it on the school internet and not his smartphone?
Doesn't have access to the phone in class, but they give him a computer and he doesn't want to do the assignment.
Yeah, I agree with that. My kids have computers from school. Even though they told them they didn't need them, they still made them take them. I don't know why, but they did. By the way, it's not 10,000, it's 20,000 because it's 10,000 per parent.
I mean, I don't think looking up the ammunition itself is criminal, but I do think that in that sense, maybe teachers, parents, maybe it's a discussion that, should have been had. I mean, to really sit down with the parents and say, what's going on, and at least ask. And then the parents.
Or you could ask. The
shooter was
the one teacher, you could ask the question.
Trigger. There are other individuals who contributed to the events on November 30th, and it's my intention.
Sorry. No, it's someone sent me some. It said investigators said Ethan Crumley talked about plans to kill classmates when officials reviewed his cell phone videos and journal.
Yeah, that's what my daughter was talking about.
And they probably reviewed that after the fact, I'm going to guess.
I agree with that too. Teacher also said she found a note on Ethan Crumley's desk that alarmed her to the point she took a picture of it on her cell phone. Okay, well,
see, now that's the picture. She took a picture of that, and when they took him to the principal with the school resource officer, he had scratched a bunch of that picture off. And then that's when they let the kid go back to class. And that's where I think there's some culpability to the school of why was he allowed. So if you have a picture, so the teacher took a picture of a picture that this kid had drawn. And then by the time you go to the principal's office, he's scratched things out. I think the school there bears, I don't want to say liability, but why is he allowed to just walk back into class like it's no big deal because mom and dad say school's a better place for him to be? If you really saw that and you have photographic evidence that a kid's drawing pictures like that, why would you just let him go back to class without maybe some quiet time by himself?
But, all right, so let me ask you this. If you believe that your 15-year-old son is going to shoot a teacher, shoot anybody, and land himself in prison for the rest of his life, you're not going to try and stop it? You're just going to allow him to do it?
Me? No, not at all.
My kid's not leaving my sight.
Yeah.
I don't see how any parent wouldn't try to stop it, though, honestly.
If not for your own kid, for the others that are in that class.
If you have any thought that your kid is capable of that, and you can see that a teacher has taken a picture of a picture that your son or daughter Drew of basically bullets flying through people's heads, I'm going to say something of like, all right, maybe I can take the rest of the day off work.
Yeah,
or,
right.
Like maybe this is time for daddy to be a daddy. And how about I hold your backpack and we go someplace different than here? If you don't like being at school, there's other places we can go.
I'm so torn on this though, because as a parent, I totally agree with you, but I just want to give the parents the benefit of the doubt that they're not going to allow their 15-year-old to go kill innocent kids. They're not going to. I mean, the kids he killed, were they even like, did they even know him? Were they bullying him? Were they just random kids? Like, we don't know any of that yet, right?
No, they haven't come out to say any of that. And like, the parents lose respect for me, number one, when you're posting on social media that you bought your kid a gun. That's you bought your underage child a gun. That's where you
100%.
That you lose a little bit of credibility with me. I consider myself a responsible gun owner.
They make the rest of us responsible gun owners look bad.
Yeah.
But lots of people buy I'm going to play devil's advocate, but lots of people illegally buy their kids guns and post it on social media. And they're not going to jail.
Though. So I have a firearm at my house that is, I told my daughter it's hers. That doesn't mean that she has free access to it. There's the difference. You can as a hunter, I can say that I have a firearm in this house that is for my daughter to use, right? That means she can use it. That doesn't mean that it's hers. There's a big difference there. So I bought my first gun with my father when I was 15 years old. Did that gun 100% always be in my possession? No. My dad had possession of that firearm. I paid for half of that gun. My dad paid for the other half of that gun. Since I was 15 years old, I knew that gun was mine. The difference was my father, being a responsible gun owner, didn't just say, well, here's your gun. And it was a shotgun. And it wasn't like, here's your gun, son. Congratulations, you're a man now. That's not the way it goes. When you deal with something like firearms, like I can say that I will buy my child a gun. It doesn't mean that my child will always have possession of that gun. That gun is still under lock and key and in my possession. Now, if we go duck hunting and she's going to go with me and I'm going to let her carry a gun and she's always going to be in my line of sight, she can possess that firearm. The difference in this whole thing is the biggest difference, number one, is we're talking about a pistol.
But I personally don't think it matters. It doesn't matter if it's a pistol or rifle.
It does, because in rare circumstances do you hunt with a pistol. Can you hunt with a pistol? Yes, you can.
But they'll both kill.
But they both do kill. They both do kill. So possession and ownership is two different things. If we're walking through a cornfield in Wisconsin deer hunting and my child is holding a rifle, she is in possession of a rifle. She doesn't have ownership of the rifle. When they agree or when they admit on social media that they just bought this kid a 9mm pistol, you have broken the law. End of story, no matter what. Now, if they would have said, bought a 9mm pistol, gonna take my son out and show him how to shoot it, you're still within the law. Because as a responsible gun owner, if you're going to have firearms in your house, your child should know A, the dangers of the firearm, the rules of owning a firearm, and the use of the firearm. If you came and quizzed my daughter 5 years ago, she could tell you the difference between a .308 rifle a 12 gauge shotgun, and a 45 caliber handgun. She could tell you the 3 different uses of those guns. One is for big game hunting, one is for duck hunting, and the other one is for home protection or protection in the woods.
But that doesn't, and this is not me playing devil's advocate. This is truly what I believe. And I can't seem to get my point across enough. As a non-gun believer, I guess is the right word, because I truly don't believe in guns unless you absolutely have to have one, or if you're an adult, and every adult has a right to own a gun. I mean, it's our right, and if you want one, go right ahead and have one. I'm not going to tell you no, but just for me, I don't really believe in guns. And my point being is that, to me, it doesn't matter if it's a rifle, a pistol, a sawed-off shotgun, or a 9mm. It's all the same. They all kill. So whether you understand the difference of what the guns are, it still doesn't matter. If someone brings a sawed-off shotgun to school, or a 9mm, or an AK-57, or a military-style machine gun, at the end of the day, they'll all do the exact same thing and kill.
They will.
It doesn't matter what the laws are. They'll all kill.
They will. They all will.
I don't understand why people are so.
So let me ask you this: does the gun kill people, or does somebody behind the gun kill people?
Somebody behind the gun kills people.
So the question isn't gun ownership. The question is gun accessibility.
Yes.
So
not only gun accessibility, but the mentality behind the gun accessibility, meaning your daughter could understand all the laws about guns, no difference in guns, know how to handle a gun, and be the most responsible child out there. But at the end of the day, if she wanted to go into a school, she could use any one of the guns, doesn't matter how much she knew about them, and they would all have the exact same result. So,
however, if you know about the gun, you are not going to kill as many with a shotgun because you get 2 shots, maybe 4. With a rifle,
okay,
you can load your magazine, but you also, unless it's been adapted to have the bigger clip compartment, you're also not going to get more than how many shots, Todd?
in what kind of firearm? Sorry.
If you're talking a 243, you got to drop one in the chamber. You got to drop one in the chamber. You got to drop one in the chamber.
Most hunting rifles. So let's take your average hunting rifle these days has a 5-round magazine.
Right.
So if you take a 30-06, which is your standard deer hunting rifle, it has a 5-round. Most of them have a 5-round dropout magazine, to where you can shoot 5 rounds, and then you have to reload the firearm.
Now, versus a 9mm, which will hold 20 rounds.
Most 9mm, you're talking 17 rounds. Okay. The Sig Sauer that they have is probably either a 15 to 17 round. It's probably a 15 round to 17 round magazine.
Now,
it really depends, because mine holds 12, and I keep one in the chamber. So 13 for my 9mm.
All right. So, you've got that. So you've got 5 shots versus 13 shots. And then let's also add in the fact that you're walking in with a 30-06 or a 243. You are not going to be able to disguise that, but you have a 9mm that can be in your bag, be in your pants. It could be in your pocket, your waistband.
And you can carry extra clips too.
You can carry extra magazines, and it's very easy to
pop it in.
Yeah.
If you want to be to recycle a magazine on a pistol takes. So when you empty the magazine of a pistol, let's say your pistol holds 13 rounds and you carry 2 extra magazines with you, right? So you have a total of 39 rounds with you. You dump the first magazine. As soon as you empty that magazine, your gun is half cocked, which means the slide is back. You dump a magazine, you put another magazine in, and it's that simple. You hit a button on the side, magazine falls out, you put another magazine in, hit a button, it closes the slide. you can fire 26 rounds off of a pistol extremely fast. I would argue that the average person could dump 26 rounds out of a pistol faster than you can empty 30 rounds out of an AR-15.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whether you're well-trained or half-assed, if you will. Like, if you take that gun out 1 or 2 times, you're pretty capable of handling that firearm. In this case, so kid has a well-concealed 9mm pistol, which he never should have had access to. Number one, I have 2 pistols in my house that my daughter has no idea where they are. She won't have access to those. She can't have access to those. I won't let her have access to those. Not because I think she's crazy or being bullied or is going to go shoot up a school, just because of the legalities of that firearm alone. There's no reason for her to have access to those pistols.
I agree with that.
And I take it from the responsible gun owner's standpoint that I believe in the Second Amendment. There's a reason that's the Second Amendment. There's a reason there's talk of it turning into the First Amendment. You have the right to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
However, with rights comes responsibility. Just like with the First Amendment, you have the freedom of speech. It doesn't mean you can walk into a crowded theater and yell fire. That is a violation of the First Amendment. So every amendment or whatever you have has rules behind it. So the Second Amendment was passed and everybody can have a gun. Okay, maybe not everybody should have a gun. So we put in background checks. We put in 72-hour waiting periods. We put in 7-day waiting periods depending on states. Because they don't want somebody who gets pissed off, like in that movie with Michael Douglas, where he just goes and buys an Uzi and starts shooting people up, right? You can't have that. So multiple states have laws where you can go buy a pistol on Monday, but you can't possess that pistol until Thursday because there's a 72-hour wait. It's called a cool down law. So you have that. The main point of the Second Amendment and responsible gun ownership falls on that word of responsible. And the parents in this case are irresponsible, one, for claiming they bought this firearm for their 15-year-old child. 2, leaving the gun out somewhere where the child can access it. Bottom line, there's culpability on the parents with those 2 facts right there.
But hold on. I'm reading something while you're talking that I'm going to, tell everyone. But one of the things that came up, I understand you're saying how the parents are culpable. I agree with you in the way you're explaining it. The police also said that they had nobody called them about what the school found. The school never called them about any information regarding what they found. The sheriff said we did not learn of that meeting or anything or the content of that meeting until after the shooting. So if you're saying the parents are responsible, shouldn't the school take some responsibility as well?
I think so, 100%.
Yeah. Well, and that'll come from those that lost their lives. The school will become responsible for them.
I think the responsibility on them, though, will be just somebody losing their job. I mean, I doubt anyone would. They're not going to be criminally.
Well, probably schools.
All right,
the school district.
Let me put it like this, though. Let me put it like this. If they're charging, and granted, parents are more responsible than school. Don't get me wrong. But if they're charging the parents based on the parents knew and didn't do anything, or that the parents should have been more responsible, then if the school was that worried and the school thought that something was seriously wrong, shouldn't they have called the police? And why aren't they being charged? Why isn't the person that took the picture of the a picture of the kid's drawing, why isn't she being held legally responsible? How come only the parents are?
Probably because we're in the early days.
Well, they should be, though, because aren't they mandated reporters? So they should be somewhat responsible.
And you guys, we don't know what's coming down the pipe, though. you can guarantee that that's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, but they're
Right
not
now-
going to charge them they're not going to charge them legally like they're charging the
No,
parents.
I don't think they will either.
If they're a mandatory reporter and they don't report.
But Melanie says, how is the school supposed to know what is going on in their household? They're not. However, school, if they thought that it was that bad, that it was so wrong, and that it scared her enough to take a picture, then why didn't she report it to the police?
So she reported it.
Parents for the same reason.
Think of it as chain of custody with the police. A teacher, right? So you're a teacher. A kid in front of you draws a picture like that. You take a picture of it. You're going to take it to whoever's above you. Because if you report a kid for something and it turns into nothing, what are you? The worrywart teacher who thinks any kid drawing a nasty picture is terrible, right? So
20
the
years
teacher,
ago, I'd agree with you. Not in today's day and age.
so the teacher takes a picture, takes it to the school counselor, the principal, and goes, "Hey, little Timmy over here is drawing pictures like this. I think you need to know." The teacher that took the picture, her responsibility, in my opinion, stops there, because she informed her superior, right? She informed the person above her.
Yep.
Right.
Next
so
level.
think of it like you're at work, right? So if John's not doing his job, do you go to the president of the company or do you go to your supervisor first?
You go to your supervisor first.
You go to your supervisor. Now it's out of your hands. Your supervisor knows that John's not doing his job. Now it's up to John to carry it up to the president of the company. In this case, we're going to pretend that the sheriff is the president of the company. The teacher took it to her supervisor, which would be the principal, and said, "Hey, something's not right with this kid. Look at this picture." The teacher's done her part, his part, their part of, I reported what I saw. Is the school liable in a way? My opinion, 100%. Is the teacher? Not so much, because she's probably following whatever protocol the school has in place. I took it to the principal. They take it from there.
All right. The car belonging to fugitive parents, they believe they found. 7 Action News has learned the police have found the car that the parents of Ethan Crumley may be traveling in. Couple's black 2021 Kia Seltos SUV with the Michigan license plate was reportedly found in the 1100th block of Bellevue on the east side of Detroit. Is that a bad area?
It's Detroit. It's all a bad area. and they're rolling a Kia. That's dangerous alone right there.
Now, I had a Kia till my daughter totaled it.
Were you responsible for that?
Well, we don't know if we're being sued yet. It's possible.
Well, see, same thing with the gun control.
I mean, she has a license, but it's still technically my car. Yeah, it looks like it was like 10 hours ago, though. I don't think
they dumped that car. They dumped that car in there on the go.
So too. I totally think so too.
And it's just like with Brian Laundrie. Guilty people don't run.
Not true. Not true at all. Guilty people run. That is the biggest misconception. Guilty people run every day. I mean, innocent people run every day.
I get that. But in this situation where you know that you did wrong and now you're running.
Scared.
I'm having fun.
Whistle down. You're not taking them yet.
Get in bed.
Get in bed.
How much? I'm getting messages. Who's that guy on panel? I like him. He's great. So hush, whistle down. Go away.
We like Todd.
Yeah, we like Todd more than you.
We like talking guns with Todd.
She hates it when I do this because I come on these things every once in a while. Yeah.
That's okay. We like you. Hold on. They took $4,000. They stopped at an ATM, withdrew $4,000, which isn't a lot at all.
Now hold on a minute. How do you go to an ATM and draw $4,000? I think my limit's $300.
Right,
maybe $5.
That's true too. You can't take $4,000 from an ATM. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
And that's like
that sounds like some
holds.
Jason Bourne shit. That doesn't sound like regular Detroit living kind of stuff. That's. I don't know of an ATM you can go to and draw out $4,000.
You're right. You can't. Yours is 800, Sila? No, I've never seen more than 350.
I think mine's 500.
Yeah, I can get 8.
See, Melanie said she has 5,000 limit in 24 hours. I'm going to your bank.
Well, I can use my debit card up to like $7,000 in 24 hours, but I can't do it as ATM withdrawals.
Case discussion. You have 800? See, I bank at Regents too. I didn't know it was 800. I've only saw 300.
Laura, you can actually ask them to up it. Most banks have the ability to up your daily withdrawal limit, and all banks have the ability to do it for like a 24-hour time period.
Interesting. Danny, I agree with you. Maybe they took the whole ATM.
Well, then we should be able to find them.
I mean, if you're going to give your kids guns and let them go to school, might as well rip off an ATM machine.
Exactly. Just take the whole damn ATM.
Make this an episode of Animal Kingdom or something. That's fine. That'll work.
So I mean, the law's looking for them. They might as well make it worth it.
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde, let's go.
All right. So as gun owners, if this was your kid, would this raise a flag? Somebody sent me. I want to thank Juju for sending this to me.
Okay.
Crumley's History of Troubles. As we were reported, there have been rumors currently floating around the internet about dangerous behavior. One video appears to show him throwing Molotov cocktails in his backyard, which to me doesn't show signs of a school shooter.
15-year-old boy shit.
Then on November 12th, the school put out a letter to parents about concerns and rumors, but does not name Crumley. Some rumors have evolved from an incident last week, while others do not appear to have any connection. Student interpretations of social media posts and false information have exacerbated the overall concern. It's unclear what incident that they were referring to, but many online have theorized it could be linked to Crumley. As with the Molotov cocktail video, we have no confirmation that it does have anything to do with him. There have been a few other incidents linked to him, however, such as threatening messages being painted on a school's wall, and he once threw the head of a dead deer into a locked courtyard. I don't see school shooter in that. Maybe I'm wrong.
I see troubled kid, though.
I see troubled kid. I don't see school shooter.
In my opinion, I see a psychopath, and that leads to school shooter.
That's
my opinion, and I'm not a parent.
I don't see any of that. I see a typical 15-year-old.
Throwing a dead deer head into another place, I don't see typical 15-year-old.
No.
Molotov cocktail, 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Fireworks
I see Molotov cocktail in somebody else's yard as being normal, but not in your own backyard. I mean, that's
you got to test those things out before you use them. You know, you just don't go.
Not in your own backyard.
You know, but I mean, so trying to remember back to when I was a 15-year-old kid, but 15-year-old boys cause trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It's their MO. So normal 15-year-old kid shit today is probably different than it was however long ago I was 15 years old.
Absolutely, because there wasn't social media.
There wasn't social media. I wasn't trying to get hits. I wasn't trying to go viral. I wasn't trying could it be a problem? Yes, it could be a problem. Could it be somebody looking for YouTube followers? It could be. So you have to take a look at the parents have to actually spend time with their child saying, is my kid bullied and throwing Molotov cocktails in the backyard like a 15-year-old kid, or is my kid depressed enough and pissed off enough at the world that's treating him unfairly that he's trying to figure out exactly how a Molotov cocktail works? There is a difference.
And the difference is, when we were 15, we couldn't grab a little box and type in how to make Molotov cocktail. We had to do trial and error.
Yeah. So in today's world, and today's world is different than what we grew up in. A 15-year-old kid has the same thoughts that I had when I was 15, but he has a delivery vehicle strapped to his hip to tell him how to make the ideas that I had as a kid come true. So if I wanted to go, and I'll never forget, a friend of mine and I, when we were kids, had a fire pit in the backyard, and we decided it would be really cool to throw a can of spray paint in said bonfire and shoot it with a BB gun and see what happened. Right? I can Google that in YouTube right now and probably come up with 5,000 videos of kids that burnt their eyebrows off like we did. We were doing it as trial and error. These kids are doing it for followers.
Yep.
So, as a parent, I have to decipher, is my kid doing something because they're pissed off at the world and they're the next Dylan Klebold, or is my kid doing it because they want to be the next Jake Paul or whatever the hell his name is? Like,
I agree.
There is, in today's society, we have that. So the big disconnect is how well do you know your kids?
And I agree with that too.
Yep.
No, I'm not saying it's normal, Anastasia. I'm saying, and I agree with what Todd's saying about times are different. I grew up, I was 15 years old in the early 80s. So, I mean, I graduated high school in 88. So go back 3 years. It was like 1985. We did crazy shit. I mean, but I grew up in New York City, so we weren't hunting, but I see kids of hunters when I was in Iowa, and they do some crazy ass shit. Like just normal shit. Today, they're normal kids. They grew up normal, but kids that grow up, around hunters and around a lot of, it's just different. I don't know. It is. It's people that grow up in Iowa or Alabama. It's just way different than the way we grew up in New York City. I don't know if I can explain.
I would say I'm a different case because I grew up in Alaska. So your right as a child was to own your first firearm. Not even own it, but you have one. And if you're from Wyoming, it's the same thing. Like a kid from New York probably doesn't, like if you're an average kid in New York, LA, Chicago, and you're in, let's say, middle America. So you live in the suburbs of Chicago or the suburbs of Los Angeles, the suburbs of even Omaha, Nebraska, or pick a bigger city, right? To where you're not so rural. So when you, like this kid's Detroit, he probably saw a gun as something different than I saw a gun as a child, as a small child, as a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid. To me, a gun was always a source of providing food, whatever. Nowadays, if you're in an inner city, a gun is a form of protection, scary. That's what you use to rob the liquor store, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But different parts of the country use guns for different reasons or own guns for different reasons. If you live in Chicago, well, Chicago's a bad example because if you live in Dallas, Texas, right, owning a firearm, if you live in an apartment and you own a firearm, chances are you own a pistol and it's for protection. You live in Dallas, Texas. You live in Houston, Texas. Drive 2 hours away. Drive to Beaumont, Texas. Drive to Odessa, Texas. Drive to outskirts of Texas. You own a firearm, because maybe you go deer hunting, you go pig hunting, coyotes. You have it for different reasons. You use it for hunting. When I grew up, your firearm in your house, whether it was 1993 or 2010 or 2020, you had that firearm for a different reason. You had that firearm because you used it to put food on the table. You used it because there might be a moose or a bear in your backyard and you were going to harvest that animal for whatever, your family to eat. If you're in Houston or Dallas, Texas, and you have that firearm, you're using it so that you can walk down the street at night with a little peace of mind.
Exactly.
Okay.
Where I grew up, a firearm is a tool. It's no different than your tractor, your lawnmower, your horse. It's there because it's part of your lifestyle and you're working, and it's used to put food on the table, resources in your pocket, as well as a little bit of money, because you shoot coyotes, you can skin them. Well, I guess you don't want to shoot them, trap them, and you sell the pelt.
See, in New York, if you want a gun, you shoot to kill. Period. End of story.
And see, where I grew up, so me and my friends used to go fishing in the spot, right? We were 15, 16 years old. And to go fishing in this spot, to go fishing for northern pike, there were two ways to get into this lake. You either hiked in 3 miles or you flew in. Well, I didn't have an airplane, so me and my friends hiked in, right? And this was thick bear country. So, as kids between the ages of 15 and 18, we would hike 3 miles into this fishing spot. And I am not kidding when I say we looked like Bravo team from SEAL team. Like, we were armed to the teeth. We were a well-regulated militia walking down a trail, 16-year-old kids with a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of vodka, and 2 cases of beer. But all of our parents knew we were responsible enough to do this. Now that I've moved out of Alaska, it's a different scenario. If my daughter or my son came into my room and said, I'm grabbing the pistol, me and my friends are going out, hold the fuck on. No, you're not. Like when I was a kid and I would tell my dad what we were doing, it was perfectly acceptable. Times have changed. The ownership of firearms should change with the times, right? So if I moved to Tampa, Florida today, the firearms I own may not be what people in Tampa own, but it's still my right to own those same firearms for whatever I deem necessary. As a responsible firearms owner, it's my responsibility to make sure that anybody, whether it's my daughter, my wife, my mother, my uncle, my neighbor, or my best friend, it's my responsibility to know if I give them one of my firearms, what they're going to do with it. If my friend comes over and says, hey, got a corporate pheasant hunting event, can I borrow your 12 gauge shotgun? Yeah, here you go, dude. I trust you. We've been friends for a long time. That's acceptable. If my friend comes over, got a corporate hunting event for pheasant, can I borrow your AR-15? That's going to raise a red flag. As you dive into this, and what's going to happen is you're going to see that people are going to come after the Second Amendment or the right to own firearms.
Every time.
The right to own firearms falls on the responsibility of the person who legally owns that firearm.
With great rights come with good rights come great responsibility.
Yeah,
big rights.
Because like we talked about before, if I take my daughter or my son into the woods deer hunting and I put them in a tree stand 50 yards from me and I give them my firearm, I am trusting that I have trained my child or my wife or my Uncle Larry or whoever it is. I've given you my firearm to use for a purpose, right? If I see you using that firearm or thinking you're going to use that firearm for a reason other than what you've said or what you've told me, the first reaction, it is my responsibility to say, hey, Larry, I gave you the gun for deer hunting. I didn't say you could use it to go get money from the liquor store.
So let me ask you a question, and this is going to sound crazy, but there's a reason I'm asking. So you and Whistledown have a huge blowout. Yeah, I hate you, and blah, blah, blah. I'm leaving you, blah, blah, blah. Do you sleep with one eye open?
No.
Or do you lock up the guns?
No, I don't do any of that. No.
Okay.
Because so right now, we can dive into this. Okay, so in certain states, they've passed what they call a red flag law.
Okay.
I'm 100% for and against the red flag law.
What is it?
Here's why. The red flag law basically says this blowout that me and Whistledown have, right?
Okay.
Whistledown can call the sheriff and say, oh my God, he's scary. Come take all of his guns. I don't know what I'm going to do. Instead of separating me from the house, they come to my house and they take all my firearms away from me.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
Mhm.
I got news for you. I can kill you with a hammer as fast as I can kill you with a gun.
True.
No offense, but it's the truth, right?
Okay.
Like, and I can kill you with a knife and it's going to make a lot less noise. So why did you just take my guns? So now, if I call and say, okay, hey, my wife became friends with this lady Laura on YouTube, and she came out to visit us, and this is where the red flag works. This is where the red flag law works. So Laura comes out and she's staying at the house, and she said, "All you motherfuckers gonna die." So I call the sheriff. The sheriff comes and says, "We're gonna take Laura away, and not your guns." That's how the red flag law works. How it doesn't work is now Whistledown and I get in a heated exchange. She calls the sheriff. Sheriff comes and takes my guns, right? All my guns in the house are gone. The next day, Whistledown and I figure out, okay, you know what? Yes, I should have put my coffee cup in the dishwasher. I'm sorry. We make up. We're no longer at each other's throats, right? Here's the problem. I can't access my firearms. Even if Whistledown calls the sheriff and says, okay, sheriff, huge misunderstanding. He's agreed to put his coffee mugs in the dishwasher.
Now we know what
everything's cool. The sheriff can still say, I don't know if everything's really cool. Now the government is involved. Right. So Whistledown and I can have a knockdown, drag out. I hate you, you hate me. Guess what? You put a gun in my face, you better pull the fucking trigger.
That's how I feel.
Amen.
That's a dead stop. That literally and figuratively, that's a dead stop for me. Like, I am not afraid of that. Like, you want to go down that road, we can go down that road. However, do I ever think it'll go down that road? No, it won't. No matter how mad Whistledown becomes at me, like, it won't go down that road. And I also know that if I act out of line, she also knows, hey, he's out of line. Maybe I had one too many whiskey drinks. We're going to let him go sleep on the couch. We don't need to get law involved, right? So circle back around. No matter how mad I am at her or she's mad at me, guns don't play a part in that. Like, no, we could piss each other off to the end of the world, and I'm not afraid that anything's going to happen. No, not at all.
Now, with that red flag law, can I call and say I'm staying at a friend's
Yes.
house and they scare me
Yep.
with the guns, and I would
Yep,
like
you
the guns
can.
taken?
Yes.
See, that's
Because
scary.
you feel threatened by the fact that I own firearms. They can come in here and take my firearms. And then Laura leaves on Saturday. I would think I can go back to the police station and go, okay, this Laura chick my wife met, she's gone. Can I have my guns back? Let's evaluate a few things. Now,
But isn't that really dangerous? For the reason being, I mean, granted, you're probably not going to have somebody in your house that you would be afraid of, but hey, you never know.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
what if I had a gun on me and said, I'm scared of their guns because I plan on killing both of you? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's why
crazy.
I'm for it, because let's say you came to my house, right? And you said, over at my house, over at Laura Manor, I've got 2 AR-15s ready to go. I'm going to walk into the convention center and I am going to light that motherfucker up. Everybody's going to come out of there running. Then red flag law works. Hey, you might want to check on this Laura chick. She was talking some pretty crazy shit at my house on Saturday. I fully expect the police to go look at that. But how it doesn't work is couples that are looking at a divorce custody battle.
Yeah.
Maybe mom's a piece of shit, dad's got his shit together, or other way around, right? Dad's a piece of shit, drinks all the time, hits the wife, right? The dad could call up and go, yeah, I need my kids because wife's got access to guns and she's off her rocker a little bit. And the police have to go in and take everything. Well, then how does the police feel when they come to the scene the next day and the dad's beat the shit out of the mom?
Yep.
Because she didn't have a way to protect herself.
It's very true. And on the flip side, I was in a 6-year custody fight. It was hell. But there are many nights I laid there thinking if we would have had a gun, neither one of us would be alive. Because there were nights that I sat there figuring out how I can kill him and how easy it would be and he never hit me or anything, but how
I can tell you, Whistledown's probably thought of that, but I just don't give her access.
No, Todd's going to be your supper. She's going to poison you.
Well, she's already said she's subtracting gifts.
And when I come there to stay there, just keep the guns locked up and we're good.
So if you're going to put a cap on the whole conversation, the rights and responsibility of gun ownership should fall on gun owners, right?
Yes.
And that's what everybody says. Here's the problem is in America, and there's actually, I wish I could reference it. I swear if I could find it, I would post it up for everybody to see it. But there is a video, and I believe it was on YouTube. I don't know if it is anymore, but a British guy hopped on a plane from London and he landed at Midway Airport in Chicago. And he had $500 in his pocket. And he wanted to know how far he could go in the U.S. by getting a car and buying a firearm in the United States with $500. He got off the plane at Midway Airport. 15 minutes later, he was in possession of a .38 caliber pistol.
Wow.
So when you say everybody talks about gun control, right? And we need to figure out how to keep guns out of kids' hands. Let's just pretend this kid in Michigan, which is Oakland, Michigan, I think he's from.
Yeah.
Right? Suburb of Detroit.
Is it a
How
suburb
hard?
of Detroit?
I believe so. I believe it's not that far from Detroit.
Okay.
Let's just say it's within a 100-mile radius of Detroit, right? Just for pretends. So if this kid's parents were responsible gun owners and bought him a gun or bought a gun for him to have or to use or whatever and go out with dad and go shooting, right? If they wouldn't have bought that gun for him, how hard would it be for that kid to go into inner city Detroit and buy a handgun?
It'd be easy.
So is the problem responsible gun ownership, or is the problem the steady flow of firearms inside and outside of the United States? So when everybody talks gun control and you get on the bandwagon of, you know what, you're right, it should be harder to buy guns. I 100% agree with you. As a responsible legal firearms owner, it should be harder to buy guns on the street than it is to buy in a gun store. Because
certain states you can buy guns at a pawn shop.
After you complete a background
not without a license or a permit, a concealed.
You have to go. You still have to go through a background check. Gun shows, pawn. That's the thing, is the media will tell you that you can walk into a gun show and just buy a gun willy-nilly and walk out. No, you cannot.
No, you
still have can in my state.
You can in
Vegas. You can in my state.
You don't have to have, you don't have to have a permit.
Is that in Wyoming?
Yes. You can buy a gun. There's no waiting period. There is no waiting period.
Here's the difference. Do you still have to fill out a background check?
No.
At a gun show or a pawn shop in Wyoming?
Nope.
Because if you go buy
at least, right?
If you go buy a pistol in the state of Wisconsin, there's a 3-day waiting period to get your hands on that pistol. If you buy one but do you still have to fill out a background check?
No. We don't, and you don't even have to have it registered. And you can open carry with no license.
You can open carry in North Carolina with no license.
Open carry, you shouldn't have to have a license. Open carry means you openly carry.
Yeah.
But you don't even have to have the firearm registered in my state.
No, you don't have to in North Carolina either. So, like, I can carry my husband's guns. I can open carry his guns.
Yes.
Open carry, just for those of us that don't know much, open carry just means you can walk around with a gun, right?
Open carry means that you can see it. Everybody that sees you sees that you have a gun. Concealed carry means you have a gun on you, but nobody sees it.
Alabama's open carry, I believe, right?
Most likely.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm not going to say yes or no because I don't know, but Alabama probably is open carry.
Florida, is that open carry?
I would say probably.
Yes, they have castle doctrine.
Yeah, I would say they do.
Yeah.
And they also allow concealed carry.
I knew they had concealed carry. An ex of mine used to carry a gun under his seat. But
that's legal conceal. So when I was a kid in Alaska, if you got pulled over, you put your gun on the dash. That way the troopers knew you had it.
Yes.
Yep.
And they could check it. They didn't give a shit that you had it, but they just wanted to know you had it.
Yep. That's how it is here too.
Okay.
So now you'll never get, because of separation of state and federal government, you'll never get every state to be on the same thing when it comes to guns. But if you're on the fence about gun control, right? Anybody listening, anybody in the chat, anybody out there, if you're on the fence about gun control, you tell me how regulating how somebody buys a firearm legally helps any more.
It doesn't.
Than how easy it is to buy a gun illegally.
This gun was legal. This was bought legally.
And it was. It was. And if you wrap it into that case, what kind of a different discussion would we be having if this kid would have bought that firearm illegally? So the gun was bought legally by his dad. The gun was possessed and used by this kid illegally because he had access to it, and the parents apparently on social media made it clear that they bought the gun for the kid. That's irresponsible gun ownership. That's different
the craziest
subject.
thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. So if you're going to talk about legal firearm ownership, if we say the only firearm ownership we can have in this country is legal, that kid never should have had access to that gun. Because the minute mom posted on social media, hey, bought Timmy this fucking gun, we're going to go shoot it, under legal gun ownership, she should have been arrested right there. Or the dad should have been arrested right there saying, hey, you checked out on when you bought this firearm, you said you bought it for yourself. Now your wife's saying on social media you bought it for your kid. You lied to the federal government about what this gun was being used for. That's a federal crime. I cannot buy a gun, right? If I go to the gun store tomorrow and I buy a gun and I check the box that says, are you buying this gun for yourself? And I say yes, right? And then I walk out of the store and I hand whistle down the firearm and say, here you go, babe, bought you a gun for Christmas. I just broke the law. And she's over the age of 21. You are legally not allowed to buy a firearm for somebody else.
Even your wife?
Doesn't matter.
I cannot. I cannot buy a firearm for Whistle Down, and I have been married for almost 18 years. I still cannot buy a firearm for her.
I didn't know that. See, it's an educational channel too. I did not know that.
You cannot. If you say you're buying a firearm for somebody else, if you click that box, go try to buy a gun tomorrow and fill out the background check. And when it asks the question, are you buying this firearm for yourself or somebody else? Check somebody else and let me know if you walk out of there with that gun in your hand. I guarantee you won't.
Well, I will, because I don't have to fill out those forms.
That's interesting. I honestly never knew that. Did not know that.
But it also takes a year to get residency in my state for you to be able to have that option.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I always thought that like a husband and wife wouldn't fall into that category because, you know, you can buy. I mean, you hear it all the time. Yeah, I bought a gun for my husband, or I bought something new for my husband. You hear it all the time. Not for a 15-year-old kid.
Whistle Down, probably about, hopefully she's not listening because I can't remember the year, but a few years ago, she went to a gun store and picked out a gun for me. And she was able to say, hey, I think my husband would like that. Can you put it off to the side? I'm going to bring him back later to look at it. And they did that. But she couldn't legally start the process of buying the gun for me. So a perfect example is my stepfather bought me a shotgun for my 40th birthday party. For my 40th birthday, my stepfather bought me a shotgun, right? So he called up the gun store closest to our town. He had a gun shipped there, and he said he would pay for it, right? I still had to go to the gun store and fill out all the background paperwork. He
By the way,
paid
it was
for it.
3 years ago at Ace Hardware, just saying.
How do you know that? And it wasn't 3 years ago because I'm not 43. So
the wife said it was 3 years ago.
Whistle Down told us.
He purchased.
It's in the comments.
It was 4 years ago, and that just shows you we might have a knockdown, drag out fight. So don't red flag me. Anyway, that's a joke. Everybody, calm down. So anyway, I had to go to the firearm store here in town, present ID, give my birth date and everything that my stepfather had given them to prove it was me, that the gun was purchased for me by somebody else. But I still had to do all the federal paperwork in my name, even though he had bought the gun. So that's how, and basically all that is, he had already bought the gun. What we're doing now is called a gun transfer. So Laura, if I wanted to sell you, if you came to my house and said, man, I really like that gun, I'd like to buy it from you, right? There's two ways I can do this. All right, Laura, give me $500, take the gun home. That's the illegal way. The legal way is I take the gun and I take you. We go to the gun store. I'd like to do a legal transfer of ownership of this firearm from me to Laura. We fill out paperwork. and you sit there and go through the background check stating that you can legally possess a firearm according to the U.S. government.
Okay. Let me ask you another question. Because Tanya brings up a good point, and I agree with this. In the U.S., we're all about guns, guns, guns. We have a right to protect ourselves, and it's our, amendment right, and blah, blah, blah. And we have the right to bear arms. But in countries that don't allow guns, don't have the same problems. How would you guys, as gun people, address that?
You sure they don't have the same problems?
That's what I was going to say. Maybe they have more deaths by knives, cars.
They don't have as much
What's
violence.
the number one thing that kills people in Australia?
People?
Kangaroos?
Is it knives?
Probably
Knives,
Knives.
hammers.
Yeah.
What did I tell you earlier? I could kill you just as fast with a hammer as I can with a gun.
Well, even in
The only
United
difference
States,
is
it's the same way.
Mhm.
More people die by hammers and, just
Bludgeoning.
not guns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's no
And
different.
the other part
So-
of that, it doesn't
but they
affect
don't
me. I
have
don't live in their
school shootings.
country.
But they don't have school shootings. Nowhere in the world has school shootings like the United States.
Well, again, that boils down
I
to the
would
same thing that I had said the other day. It's lack of respect for law enforcement, lack of respect for others, and lack of respect for yourself.
Okay.
I have to put a lot of that
And
on
I would
parents,
also say, if you were going to tell me that the United States has a gun problem, in one way I would agree with you, and in only one way. The United States romanticizes firearms.
Okay.
What's a bigger hit at the box office? Jason Bourne or a rom-com with Jennifer Aniston?
Jason Bourne.
The same way with video games.
Action. Laura, you said earlier your son plays video games.
Yes.
First-person shooter,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Sit him down with a Pokemon game and see how much fun he has.
He don't like
Tell me how long he's going to play that game before he goes, Jesus Christ, Mom, this fucking blows. Right? Because what have we romanticized? So, and I'm not the person that's going to sit here and say that the Columbine shooting had a lot to do with Marilyn Manson music, because it didn't. There's two troubled kids that nobody threw a red flag on. However, as a captivating audience, what's more exciting to watch? What's more exciting to play? What's the most popular video game in the country?
Grand Theft Auto.
Either Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty. What do they both
just
have
had
to
that
do?
discussion.
You're driving a car real fast, beating up hookers, and then the other one,
I was going to say picking up hookers.
I love Grand Theft Auto. I can't wait for 6 to come out.
Maybe, and I'm not saying that they don't play those games in other countries. What I'm saying is maybe, just maybe, it's not celebrated as much in those other countries. To where here, things like that are celebrated.
No, I gotta disagree, because video games in other countries are just as strong.
And
that
they are. And that's what I mean. But what I'm saying is
the love
I'd love to
the
see
gun.
how many, so probably one of the safest countries in the world, we were going to say, is probably Sweden, right? Mm-hmm. So they don't have school shootings. They might have some violence. What's the difference? So, and we don't know. I don't know. Maybe you guys do. But like, is Grand Theft Auto the number one selling video game in Sweden?
I think so.
You think so? Do you know?
No.
It could be, I don't know. What do they do in fucking Sweden? Chocolate making 101 on a video game? I don't know. But like, is it limited?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll give you the answer. Number one selling video game. It only gives me Android games, but it's Candy Crush.
Like, try
No, so
Xbox or PlayStation.
That game will make me want to beat people up.
2, 3, 4, 5. Grand Theft Auto is number 6.
Grand Theft Auto is number 2 for the best video game in the world.
Oh, I'm saying in Sweden,
yeah,
July of 2021. Candy
but
Crush.
Obviously it's being played everywhere. I mean, because that's the world. So,
and it has been, and I would say that there's a huge in the United States. If you're going to compare the two, if you got off a plane in Sweden with $500, do you think you could buy a firearm within 20 minutes of getting off the plane?
No.
Whether it's legal or illegal, whether that's an illegal firearm or a legal firearm, you step off the plane in, I don't know the capital of Sweden, but Ujendujen, whatever the hell it's called. If you step off a plane at noon on Friday in Sweden, could you have a firearm in if you had $500 cash, could you have a firearm in your pocket by noon on Saturday?
No, but that just goes to show that I think our biggest problem would be illegal guns.
Thank you. That's the point I'm trying to make. This country doesn't have a legal firearm problem. The United States has an illegal firearm problem.
Agreed.
Hold on, I got one more place to look up. Hold on. I got some interesting statistics.
I bet I could find hookers and blow in Sweden before I could find a gun.
Probably. And not just the band.
I think that's my biggest problem with gun control is it seems like the media and all, they always come after the legal gun owners.
Yeah, and legal gun ownership isn't a problem. Legal gun ownership, if the parents would have followed legal gun ownership, this kid never would have had that gun.
But now, check this out. This is interesting. The top 10 countries with the highest murder rates: El Salvador is number 1, Honduras
MS-13,
number 2, Venezuela
MS-13,
number 3, and United
MS-13.
States Virgin Islands is number 4. But what's interesting is the top 3, El Salvador all has high gun laws. Honduras has strict gun laws. Venezuela doesn't even allow for people to own guns, and yet
they're the highest.
Top 3 murders.
I bet you we could find guns in all 3 of those places for less than $500.
Oh, absolutely.
And come out with
you go to El Salvador with a $20 bill and
and the number 1 lowest murder rate is Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong. Top 3. That's interesting, though, when everybody tries to say gun laws, but the top 3 murder countries in the world all have gun laws.
But that just goes to show you can murder someone with anything.
Exactly.
Well,
and gun laws is not the problem. That was my point.
Yeah. Don't you think that it's part of the problem in the United States is those 3 countries you just listed off?
No, the problem in the United States, in my opinion, is a non-gun advocate. The problem is not guns. I mean, like someone said earlier, and I agreed with, you don't see guns going on a killing spree. You have to have somebody behind it.
Well, no, I meant the illegal side of it.
The problem is, in my opinion, is education. And
exactly.
That education can be toward, gun people can say that it's education, in gun control and all of it. But I think it's an overall education that people, be more, and I said this earlier, be more aware of your kids, be more aware of your surroundings, be more aware of, if you're going to have a gun in your house, make sure that, you have proper education on it, that you do the right thing with it. But all around, it's education, and it's being in tune with your children and understand what's going on. And I think if that happened, as a single mom, even I'm saying this, but be aware of what your kids are doing, what they're thinking, how they think, how they're growing up. Like, you just have to be more aware of it. And
Todd,
that's
I know what it is.
the problem.
I know what it is. We grew up in states where we took hunter safety as part of our core curriculum. That's what it is.
I will agree with you, but you know what? Growing up where I grew up, we never took hunter safety. I didn't take hunter safety until I was over 20 years old.
Well, I know. I didn't either, but every time you were around a gun, it was hunter safety. It was gun safety. I mean, I know what I grew up relatively similar to what you have. And it's the same thing. We were taught to respect a firearm.
Yep.
And now it's a toy.
You want to know something? I just thought of this. My little one, when he was 12, his big brother from not me, he went to Iowa. His big brother was teaching him how to shoot a gun. He was trying to teach him gun control. That weekend, he said to me, Dylan's giving me a BB gun. I said, I am not thrilled with it. And Dylan said, don't worry, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to teach him gun control and blah, blah, blah. So I remember after all that, Dayton's like, see the cool gun he gave me, yada, yada. He said, how'd he do with gun control? And he's like, he still has a lot to learn. I don't think Dayton has ever picked up the gun. It's been sitting in his closet forever. And he gave him, a target practice, everything. And it hit me when I was cleaning his room a couple of weeks ago that, you know what? I don't even think he's ever even shot this. Like, no interest in it, which I'm more than happy about. But, and even though he's a first person shooter, he has no interest in going to a target practice or doing that. And to me, that's just knowing your kid. Like, I would know if he was very interested in a gun and he plays shooter games all day long, still has no interest in a real gun.
So do you think because he plays those games, right? And he's in that realm of things, right? Do you think in a way he should know in the games when he picks up a certain gun, right? What he's really picking up? Because as somebody who has fired a weapon, killed an animal, right? And I'm an avid outdoor hunter. I have killed multiple animals, and I have harvested meat and done all this stuff. It's still shocking in some ways of what that firearm is capable of doing. And I don't think that kids today realize that what that firearm is capable of doing.
I agree.
Like, you can take something.
I don't think he's awake, but I'm going to go check. Hold on. Because he knows everything about these guns.
You can take the cartridge of a firearm, a 308 cartridge, right? 3.5 inches long by 1/2 inch wide, packed with powder. And that will kill a 1,000-pound animal.
Moose, elk,
deer, bear,
antelope.
Pick an animal. Go to another country. Elephant, lion, jaguar, giraffe,
tiger.
And it will stop that animal in its tracks. Just take a second to think about that. So does a kid playing Grand Theft Auto know the capabilities of that pretend gun that he picks up in his video game? He doesn't.
I don't think he does. I don't think our son did until, we started taking him to, target practice and stuff. No, I don't think he understood it.
The first deer I shot, the first deer I shot was
He's sleeping.
Wisconsin deer hunting season. I shot a whitetail buck with a 12 gauge shotgun. Because that's what you used, 12 gauge or 20 gauge shotgun. And
are you picking BBs for your entire steak?
No, you shoot slugs.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I shot a whitetail buck deer that when I field dressed it, it weighed 225 pounds. So before I field, it's probably almost a 300-pound deer. That's a big whitetail deer. I shot it with a 12-gauge shotgun, slugs, and I remember walking up to this animal that I had just taken its life to feed my family, and I thought, God damn, I've never seen something like that. When you see it in real life, when you see it up close, the appreciation of the power of a firearm comes through. Like, you don't hold it sideways in front of a mirror and make a rap video with it. This is a serious, like, and it's a serious thing. It's like, I've never taken a human life. I don't ever want to have to take a human life. I've taken the life of deer. I've taken the life of ducks. I've taken the life of multiple wild game. It's a powerful moment.
Oh, I agree.
When you take that and in the worst feeling in the world, I fortunately have never had to deal with it. But I will say, in my opinion, the worst feeling in the world would be shooting something like that, a white-tailed deer, a elk, an antelope, a moose, or whatever, taking that shot and not being able to harvest the animal. That is the worst feeling that I can imagine having to feel, because that thing is going to go off, die somewhere, and become coyote bait.
My brother's a cop. He said he never forgot his first shot. He never forgot his first kill. Just saying.
No, I'm a good friend of mine that I went to high school with is a cop, and he said he's taken the life of somebody. And I know guys that have served overseas, and guys that were special forces, and guys that have done some shit that we don't need to talk about on this, but they've done some things, and they said, you will never forget that. And I can just imagine, right? So when you have these school shootings and you have these mass shootings and you have all this stuff, I don't want to equate human life with deer life, right? But I try to say the carnage left on the ground after something like this is nothing that anybody should take lightly, because it's something that a big segment of the population doesn't understand, is that is a very, very powerful tool that you put in the hands of somebody, and used incorrectly or used for purposes it shouldn't be used for, you can't take that back. And
the responsibility that you live with, knowing that you took that life.
Hang on one second. Hold on one second. Where are you seeing they're in custody? I am looking on the news. I don't see anything that they're in custody.
Caught in the basement of 111 Bellevue. Isn't that?
I'm not seeing anywhere in the news that they were caught.
Yeah, I've been looking for like the last 5-10 minutes. I can't find it anywhere either.
It was on the Detroit Scanner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hope the parents are brought to justice, because I think the parents are very culpable. In this case, very culpable.
Hey, I got sent something. Operation Fast and Furious. During the operation from 2009, 2010. What are you laughing at me for?
Operation Fast and Furious. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Todd. Seriously, is this bunk? Is this not like?
No, it is.
I had it sent to me, so that's why
it's the U.S. government selling firearms to, organizations that aren't good. I'll say that.
But thousands of AK-47s and 50 cal rifles and other weapons were purposely allowed by ATF and Department of Justice officials to be purchased illegally by straw buyers at gun stores in the United States and then trafficked over the border into Mexico. ATF officials sat by as thousands of guns walked away.
So the Obama administration came under fire for Fast and Furious because they sold, when they captured El Chapo,
right,
one of the 50 caliber machine guns that was used to fire upon U.S. soldiers was found in El Chapo's possession, and the U.S. government had sold that firearm to El Chapo.
So again, it's an illegal firearms issue as well as a gun owner education issue.
It's definitely an education issue. Any way you look at it, it's an education issue.
I'm all for I'm 100% for gun control. As long as you can control the guns illegally as much as you can legally.
See, I think that's the misconception a lot of times, that people that, want gun control or like shouting on the media, they seem to think that the ones of us that, we have guns, we believe in the Second Amendment, that we don't believe in gun control. We do. Like, we have our opinions on it, that some things do need to be regulated. And those are the things that need to be regulated.
100%.
All right, hold up. They have 48 seconds ago, they were taken into custody. A woman believed to be Jennifer Crumley was seen walking away from an SUV in Detroit. So they are in custody. So breaking news.
They said Brian Enton is reporting it in the comments.
Don't be giving away my secret spy, Brian.
Is that where you got it?
Yeah. Google.
No, actually, I couldn't find it on Google. Someone sent it to me.
Laura, this has been amazing. Thank you for hosting this.
I will say I am looking forward to seeing, like, what are the charges that's going to come down. Like, I'm curious to know, because do I think they're responsible? Yeah, they have a lot of responsibility, but I'm curious to know what the charges are going to be.
So they're charging them with involuntary manslaughter, which
wow,
is
that's going to be hard, though. I think it seems.
I think so. What I think is, and it kind of ties back to the Kyle Rittenhouse case, is people lately are getting charged based on emotion more than facts. In this case, involuntary manslaughter kind of fits because they involuntarily gave access to the gun to the kid, blah, 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 which led to the murder of people. So there is something there, but
yeah, I think there is something there, but it seems like it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard because...
Thank you, Pretty.
And I think we have a lot of district attorneys that are jumping the gun here lately.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and so go back to the Kyle Rittenhouse case, is they probably, I'll put my own feelings aside, they probably could have got him on a couple of things, but the fact that they went straight up for murder is why they lost the case.
Well, they even tried to, change the charges throughout the case.
And they, in the middle of the case, they tried to change the charges, which is just, you're admitting that you did something wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of that? You think Kyle should have been charged? You think he should have been found guilty?
No.
I think if the prosecution would have reviewed the case before charging him, I don't think they ever would have charged him.
I don't either. I will tell you this: when it come time for the jury to come in, my son come down. My husband was at home, and I was all of us were literally watching the TV, thinking, if this child is guilty, there went our right to protect ourselves.
It did. There's a bunch of circumstances there, because what that kid was guilty of was being in the wrong. Like, he shouldn't have been there. Like,
yeah,
in all reality, a
I agree with
17-year-old kid with an AR-15 probably shouldn't have been in downtown Kenosha during
I ain't
riots.
putting my
And
17-year-old
if they would have
in that.
charged him for that, I would have said, all right, you're guilty. But
Yeah.
what they tried to do was say, number one, he was this huge flaming racist, and the government came out and said he was a white supremacist racist, and all this other shit that just wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, they could have gotten him on a few things, probably reckless endangerment. There's a couple things. They probably could have got him on involuntary manslaughter. They probably could have got him on assault with a deadly weapon. There's probably a couple of things that they could have got this kid charged for, found guilty of. But right away, because everybody came out and said he was this white supremacist murderer, they charged him with first-degree murder, and it was not first-degree murder. A, it was not pre-planned. B, he didn't carry the gun across state lines. There's all sorts of things that stacked up against him to where if they would have stepped back and went through the law like the law is written and said, okay, what can we charge this kid with? Not, we're charging him with first-degree murder, figure out how it sticks. They couldn't do
They
that.
didn't step back because they had the pressure on them so hard, and they should have. No, I'm not saying they shouldn't have, but they didn't because of the media and because of the protest, everything that was going on. They had the pressure on them that they had to come out and charge him immediately.
Yeah. That kid was labeled before he was even in the court, before he was even technically under arrest. That kid was labeled.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
I think they turned it into.
Like,
I think they turned it into too political, is what they did.
They did. And it's the same thing with this case that we're dealing with now with this kid in Michigan is, and I'm guilty of it too. I've already stated he could have been bullied.
Yeah.
That's an assumption on my part. He might not have been bullied. He might just be, for lack of a better term, off his rocker a little bit. He might just be pissed off at the world. His dad might have hit him. His uncle might have done something. Like, there's all sorts of things that we don't know about this kid. But everybody, because it hits the media 30 seconds after it happens, and some kid probably got on and said, oh, yeah, oh, man, he was all fucked up from years before. Really? We're taking that as truth, and we shouldn't be. What if this kid has a real problem?
Yeah.
What if his parents have a real problem, which I think they do, but, like, we're just as guilty as the media right now by assuming we know all these facts about this kid. He could be a normal kid who just snapped. I'm not saying that's what it is, and I doubt that's what it is, but is there a possibility of that? Yeah. And a lot of people have already come out and called this kid crazy, stupid, retarded, whatever word they use to describe this kid. It's already sticking to him, and it shouldn't be. Did he do something terrible? Yes. Does that mean that did his parents do terrible? In my opinion, yes. Does that mean that we should label everybody? No. Because there could be a lot more going on in this kid's life.
Hounds thinks Anthony Huber is trying to disarm a white national terrorist.
Who was?
Anthony Huber.
That's one of the Kenosha shooters?
Yeah.
Which one? The career wife beater or the pedophile?
Which one was that?
The guy that hit him with the skateboard, or the guy that pulled the pistol on him?
It might have been the one that had the pistol. Let me see.
The known felon that had a firearm. There's some.
Isn't Anthony Huber the one
there?
Or is he the one that lived?
Isn't he the one that got his arm shot off?
Okay. No, he was killed.
Oh, Anthony was killed.
Yeah.
He was killed. His Rittenhouse fled the scene of Rosenbaum's shooting. According to the complaint, Huber turned 26.
He was the domestic abuse repeater. So he's the one that was having problems like with his girlfriend, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's
listen, I'm
justified,
not trying to disarm anybody
but
that's got a gun.
And
I'm
he
not doing that.
struggled with mental issues.
Not me. I mean, there was so much footage in that case, though, that to me it was just so hard to find him guilty.
it was. All right, Whistle phone's down. Whistle Down's phone's about to die, so I got to jump off.
All right. Thank you so much, Todd, for coming on.
Thank you, Todd.
No
Thank you,
problem.
Whistle
Anytime
Down.
you guys want me,
Yeah, it
I'm
was
here.
nice talking to you.
Tell
Thank
Listen
you.
Down she gotta
Nice
order
talking
some
to you guys, too.
potatoes.
Okay. All right.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You know that was Whistle Down going, come on, honey, let's go. Get off already.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop down too. I got a wedding to go to tomorrow, so
Oh, have fun. I gotta get off anyway. It's 1 o'clock. I gotta box up some candles too.
well, I gotta figure out what I'm even gonna wear. I ain't been to a wedding in years.
You don't know what you're wearing yet?
Not yet.
Oh, well, have fun.
I gotta figure it out. So
Better than me. No more weddings for me. Hell no.
I probably haven't been to a wedding in probably 15 years.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't have a clue. I actually called my mom. I said, "What are you wearing to the wedding?" And she said, "Probably the thing I wore to the last event I went to," and I couldn't help but just laugh. So I'll figure it out. But it was nice being able to have this discussion because I mean, some of us, I guess are more passionate than others. And when it comes to the Second Amendment, that's something we are very passionate about because, I mean, we just don't know where we're heading as a country. And for me, I just feel like I need to always know that I can protect my family.
And see, that's why I wanted to do an open. I'm going to do more open panels about discussions like this because, and like I said, I could always play both sides, but I'm just not a big gun believer. And I have friends living in Alabama. I have friends that are diehard gun believers. And I always find it very interesting to have these kind of healthy debates because, it's always good for people to understand the way I think, just like it is the way you guys think. So that's why I wanted to have an open panel.
Yeah.
I
wasn't either for years. And then once I seen the country changing, it started changing my perspective. And one day my husband come home from work and I said, "I think I want to go shoot your gun." And he was like, "Oh, you do? Okay, let's go." And it just changed. Like my opinion on all of it changed.
Guns scare me.
They did me for years. I hated the fact they had guns, and I agree. No, they should. But I hated we had guns in our house. Yeah.
However, you should be if you no longer want to be in fear of a gun, then you should take a course just like anything else. If you want to learn how to do CPR, you take a course. You can go down and you can talk to your local firearm person, gun store, local indoor shooting range, and you can become completely comfortable with firearms.
I would probably be shocked if you ever went to a gun range and did target practice or something. I'd be shocked to hear you say you didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. Everybody comes in like this and they go out. They come out and they just, like, when are we going again?
Yeah. Yep. You leave like, can I go do that again? Like next week?
But can I be honest with you? And I have no problem admitting this, but my mind goes to too many places. Maybe it's my ADHD that a gun is just not in my best interest. Not because
that's healthy.
Not because I would do anything, but I would enjoy it too much. And I have shot a gun before. And I've gone to shooting ranges and stuff. And I'll tell you a funny story real quick. CPS call number 3. And now it's at the point, I don't care if everyone knows, but CPS call number 3. I told a story when I was away on YouTube that Phoenix had a gun. And that, he came out and shoot someone. Someone was throwing shit at the house at the time. So I made up a story about having a gun. Now, in all fairness, my neighbor who lives literally around the corner, if anything ever happened, they could be here in 10 seconds flat, and he owns like 12 guns. But CPS came here and they said, "Oh, your 15-year-old has a gun." And my 15-year-old doesn't have a gun. You fucking think I'm crazy? So, they asked Phoenix and everything. And one of my ex-Patreons was like, "Laura doesn't like guns. Trust me, Laura's not leaving a gun alone with her kids." I said, "Hell no." But I didn't want YouTube to know that because everyone was coming after me back then, So I want them to think I had a gun. Now it don't matter, but I just thought it was really, really funny that they would say, like, it was CPS call number 3. She has a gun and it's an illegal gun and she leaves it home with her kids. And people that know me knew, yeah, Laura does not own a gun. She doesn't even believe in guns. Yeah, no, not happening. So I just thought it was kind of funny.
I don't blame you though. If you're not, I don't blame you for that at all. I mean, because you just don't know what's out there. So to have people think that they're protected, you didn't do nothing wrong there.
Exactly right. And that's why I said, but then they called, of course, then they call CPS, Laura's got a gun and she leaves the gun alone with her kids and her 15-year-old kid had a gun. Yeah, that's the CPS call. So, but it was like, it was a no-win situation,
Right.
It was no win. So, but now it's at the point, I think everyone to a certain extent has calmed down. I don't have to worry about someone coming to my house. But then again, ballet babe's still around. So.
Oh Lord, don't get me started. I can't with that one. I'm sorry.
I
can't. Well, hopefully the CPS calls are in the past because they should.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, they need to be because I mean that's ridiculous.
And
I think laws need to be changed with that. But that's just my opinion, And maybe we'll catch up to that one day.
Towns, I will never play anything else on my channels again. Nope. I will do what Agenda Free does, and that's watch it and tell you what's going on, because I am not losing another channel of monetization. Nope, not happening. So no more playing anything, nothing. Nope. Unless I stop it every 5 seconds. So, but I am going to shut down though, so I can get to these candles, and it is 1 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock for me.
So it's only midnight here.
I want to thank you guys for coming up. I thought it ended up being an absolutely fantastic panel. You guys are always more than welcome to come up whenever you want.
Well, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Have a great night, guys.
I can report to you guys, I got more kisses today.
All right. Sweet.
I love it.
Good night.
Love.
I love it. Have a good night.
Good night. Have fun at the wedding.
I will definitely will. Thank you.
All right. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get off. I want to thank you guys for all the support. I want to thank you guys. So if you're coming in super late, you don't know what's going on. I lost monetization on my main channel. Well, this is my main channel, but my main support channel, my main money channel, I lost monetization on due to an error on YouTube. And I know it's an error because I got busted for reuse content, which is the same bullshit 100,000 other people have been shut down for. But I was told from somebody who lost monetization at one point that you don't get paid for your memberships in the month that you get cut. So that's not a good thing, especially right before Christmas. So I panicked a little. I put together a PayPal pool, still asked everyone to bring over monetization from that channel to this channel or Intrepid channel. I will be doing a lot more on this channel and more on Intrepid. I'm going to stay away from that channel for a while until everything gets straightened out. So, but thankfully, I do have 2 other monetized channels, and I didn't get shut down for anything, that would harm me, like, bullying or harassment or nothing like that. So thankfully, my dad's looking out for me. But mods have been dropping all night, the links to the PayPal. And I know a lot of people know my PayPal and they've just been giving him my regular PayPal. You can also support by buying a candle. And the PayPal pool right now is at 300. I want to thank you guys so much. 700 will cover what I lost in, well, 720 will cover what I lost in memberships this month. So I'm just a little stressed out. But with that said, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. I need those algorithm to hit. This channel, for some reason, is rarely in the algorithm because I'm not on it enough. But that's all going to change. We're going to do a lot more case discussions. We're going to do a lot more stuff coming up. And that's it. And then my, regular channel, my, whatchamacallit, my, vlog channel, my personal channel, that'll be over on Intrepid. Patreons and members, I'll drop the link when I go live from there. But I really want to build up this channel and stay away from the drama. So that's it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I have candles to go wrap up. And Denise, if you watch this or listen, my creativity, Denise, your candle is made. Your thing came in. I made it. I'm going to mail it out Monday. So I will see you guys later. Oh, and Pretty as Pretty Does. That package with the black wicks will not be here till the 7th. I don't know why it's taken so long, but I got notification from FedEx. Hopefully it'll come earlier. So I'm going to make some of the stuff that you ordered without the black wicks, but the black wicks will not be here till the 7th. So on that note, I will see you guys later. Don't forget, order your Christmas candles, and I will see you guys later. And thank you guys for the super chats. And again, thank you guys for all the support, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. And hit that thumbs up on your way out.